Hello everyone, and there's gonna be a different type of video today. I want to have a conversation with you guys, to be honest. It's gonna be one of those type of conversations where we need to talk about Street Fighters, like the game as a whole. You know what I mean? Like the game as a whole, gameplay, like how we're really feeling about like Drive Rush and perfect parries, all that, and Battle Hub featuring like our characters, our avatars that have been getting constant skins, like every time there's like a new battle pass or fighting pass, whatever you want to call it, and then World Tour with its, in my opinion, like after a while, I just like, well, not really after a while. It was like at the moment when I finished it, it kind of just it bugged me. Like I'm like, it really just ended, with our character defeating JP, and he said that this all after all this, was it really worth it in the end? It was all useless or whatever, which it's was a deal breaker. That was the whole thing. I am gonna heavily I'm heavily gonna be speaking about World Tour. I'm gonna just say that real quick. I'm going to heavily talk about World Tour. Heavily. So be prepared in the video about it. I'm just letting you guys know. I'm going to talk about it heavily. But anyways, enjoy the video. So, Fighting Ground. I gotta say, Fighting Ground. If we go to it real quick. If we go to Fighting Ground real quick, I'm just gonna say, the game as a whole is good. Arcade, practicing, the training, really in depth, practicing with training. You got your anti-air practices, the frame meter, with all the frame data. You get to practice very well. Like, honestly, the game does give you a control pad with, light punch, medium punch, heavy punch, etc., etc. I can go on and on. It's very useful, and then with the character guides, combo trials, very, useful information. Like if I were to go to, I think, let's go to Ken real quick. Yeah, all this is like very useful. Like some of these things you might not use. Some of them are really simple that you might actually use in battle. I'm not really here to talk about all of that. I'm just here to talk about like what's bothering us mainly, and that's when the topic of perfect parry and perfect parry and drive rush. Now, do I believe that drive rush and perfect parries are really strong? Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely, that those two metas are like really bothersome. Drive rushing, it's too strong. It's too strong. You get instant frame advantage, right? You get instant frame advantage. But let's just say on a block, let's just say like someone does a super on you. You parry it and then you drive rush it. You do some raw drive rush. Yeah, instant plus frames. Instant plus frames. Like you gotta think about it. Like drive rush is a thing where like it's powerful. Like don't get me wrong. The plus frames is really good. Don't get me wrong. It's really good. Okay, I'm not like super complaining about it. I'm not, no. It is very powerful though. I do gotta say the extra plus 4 frames on it, the amounts of how the recovery, the advantage, the frame advantage is really, 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 really good. I know there's obviously some people that obviously don't like it, it's very broken or anything like that, and Capcom should fix it or nerf it or something, or I mean, or make certain characters, like instead of just raw drive rush, just like 3-bar drive rush, cancelable on certain like normals. Like how like DJ you can't do it with crouching medium kick, but Ryu, Ken, Chun-Li, Cammy, Luke can, right? I'm not even sure if Luke can. I don't think I've ever done it, but I probably have, or I just don't remember. But anyway, what I'm trying to say here is I'd say it's kind of broken. Like it's very powerful. It's super goddamn powerful. And to make it even more so that you can be able to like optimize with it, it makes things very easy, especially when you want to do it raw, like raw drive rush. forward, and then fucking what's it called, MP and fucking MK. Oh my god, that thing is fucking powerful. Like Jesus fucking Christ, like wow. But it is. I'm just saying, like, hey, the game, the game's mechanics with Drive Rush is honestly very. It's just godlike and all that. Like honestly. I don't know. I mean, we could definitely maybe tweak it. Maybe instead of like 4 extra plus frames, maybe it's like 2. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. I mean, I don't think it's like the worst thing. Anything. It is broken, I guess. I guess you can argue with it or something, or just I don't know. However, look, the game is a bit more balanced. It's a lot. It's The game is very balanced. Okay, Drive Rush is definitely an issue, I will say. Drive Rush, I don't know, I mean, it is very powerful, I gotta say. It is very fucking powerful. It's, it's amazingly powerful. And the amount of pressure you can do to your opponent, I've done it so many times. Oh my god. And then perfect parries, I mean, like, perfect parries is like another thing. Like, I'm not gonna go too much into that one because perfect parry is perfect parry. Honestly, even with damage scaling, that damage scaling after a perfect parry, I mean, it doesn't do too much damage, but I feel like it's still a lot for what it is. You know what I mean? It's still a lot. But yeah. With that being said, no, I don't think so. I don't think that's gonna be like a. I don't think we're gonna really like it. Now, if they were to buff things or nerf those tactics, I feel like when it comes to perfect parry, what they could do, if they were to nerf a little bit of perfect parries, maybe like they are not as frequent or something. Because obviously to get perfect parry, you literally need to parry your opponent's normals or their projectiles like quick, like dead on accurate. Like obviously it has to be the fucking most accurate parry you can fucking do. But that's enough ranting about that. I mean, look, those things are definitely like a common factor. It used to be drive impact, drive impact was definitely like, an issue, but it's not really an issue. Like it's an issue, but it's not really an issue. Like unlike the other two features. Let's move on from fighting ground. We're not really fighting ground. Let's just move out just the common issues that we are facing. Just the main problems when it comes to gameplay. Now let's talk about content. Ah, yes, the content. Now where do we begin? Well, let's see. What has been Capcom been doing? Like the past 6 months, because it has been 6 months lately. It has been 6 months since this game came out. Now, when it came out, the honeymoon phase was going on. There was not that many issues we were dwelling on besides like drive impact, I guess. But we were learning. We were saying like, okay, it's okay. We're developing. This is like the best Street Fighter. It is kind of the best vanilla Street Fighter, to be honest. It is. But other than that, okay, so content. The game had a lot of content at launch, right? But then again, you gotta consider a lot of things. A lot of people must have beaten World Tour by now. Uh, and obviously some people just said screw the mode and went on instantly to train and get some ranked matches in. Which, understandable, I get it. I get that. But let's just say you do World Tour, right? Let's just say you do. You have a lot of content to go through. You do. You really do have a lot of content. It's the main story, which I'll definitely talk about that in a second. But let's just get through this first. So yeah, you got a lot of content to do. The story, the side missions, and then leveling up the characters to get their moves, and obviously the story aspect of things that they'll tell you some backstories, and that'll be in the gallery. Now it's a grind, and also you also want to get their bond levels to 100 to get their outfits too for free, unless you want to buy them, which I don't recommend. I'd rather just grind it, even though it is a super big grind, but still, the point is taken. Anyway, when you get through that, when you get through all the things in World Tour, like once you get past all the missions, you get to level 100 and you do everything in your power. What else is there, right? Well, obviously there's, the Hagar Stadium with the whole farming to get, items, clothing, or other gifts and XP for your characters and yourself included. But, if you get like a lot of it by now, then, obviously it doesn't really matter. It's okay. So obviously you want to go to Battle Hub or, Fighting Ground to be specific, or to rank. Get through the or go to arcade to get some character stories out of the way, which that won't take that long. That won't take too long. So you get through the arcade, get through all 20 characters, assuming if you have DLC or not. But let's just say you don't, you only have the 18. You get through all the 18 characters. What else is there? Well, obviously there's rank, casual, the special matches, but now I don't really even play that. I'm assuming not others do. Yeah, after a while, what I'm trying to say here, I know that was a lot of information, but what I'm trying to say here is that all the stuff that I just mentioned, it will get tiresome after a while. So we want new things in the game. Recently, obviously the game gave us, can I even view it from here? Okay, yeah, I can. Yeah, recently the game gave us, outfits number 3 for all 18 characters, and then DLC will be a later thing when Akuma drops. But granted, the problem about this, though, I've covered this in another video. In the let's talk about the prices of Outfit 3. I'll leave that down in the description. But my point is, all these that are here, except these cartoonish characters, these are expensive. Okay, these are a lot of these are very expensive to get. $11.99 just to get them. I've said this before in another video, but I'll just say it again. It's very expensive. $11.99 just if you want to just get one. That's kind of pretty costly. I'm not trying to bash on Capcom here. I just want to say that real quick. I'm not trying to bash on them, but this is ridiculous. But all the content we have received, I forgot to even mention before I even forget, the avatar skins that we've been getting in the battle passes has been a lot. It's been a lot. I feel like what they're doing with their monetization is not really it's not really the greatest. Not trying to bash, I'm just saying. And the content that we've been receiving for the past 6 months has been very slow. It has been very slow. Like, honestly, it has been very slow. And we just need a lot more. And then the outfits obviously should be a thing where, we desperately needed that. We needed some content for the game, and the Outfits 3 helps, but at a cost, literally at a cost. So what do I think that Capcom should do to get, to like give us more content? Well, that's where the World Tour stuff comes into play. So the World Tour stuff, what I mean by that, besides the DLC characters being, in World Tour that, give us a little bit more lore and, obviously a character to play with, which will definitely be really good, because obviously, they gave us previous characters like Rashid and Aki, which, that's extra, that's an extra, that's extra amount of amount of content for the game. But here's what I mean by World Tour. I feel like Capcom should definitely give us a World Tour expansion. Like, an additional story. An additional story to give us, you know what I mean? Like, give us an extra thing to do in the game. Give us a story, an expansion to what World Tour happened. Because as I said, not that long ago, I was going to bring up World Tour for its story. Yeah, that could be really good for more content. Capcom can give us an expansion on World Tour. Now, granted, there's probably some people that don't really care about the story, and that's fine. That's fine. But I really was disappointed at the very end of World Tour. And look, spoiler alert, if you haven't done the story mode of World Tour, I'm gonna just say it now, because it's been 6 months. It has been 6 months, so watch at your own risk at this point.
Congratulations. You have defeated me. And now what? What does this victory represent to you? Justice. Strength. The end of something. Or the beginning. And now what? None of this means anything at all.
Now, what you just saw pretty much describes why we need an expansion to World Tour, like an actual additional story mode. Kind of like how a certain fighting game has done before. And yeah, right, okay. Now, I would very much like, a World Tour expansion because, well, not just because of that ending. It's not just because of that. It's not just because of that ending, to be specific. It's also because our characters, which is, the main thing, the characters. Now, I know the whole point of World Tour was like, whatchamacallit? Like, the whole point of World Tour is literally us, like the character, like us as the person playing the game. And, as we play it, it's kind of like our story. Like, we go to Chun-Li over here as our character. We're progressing through. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. I feel like Chun-Li should have been there, like helping us. Alongside with Ken. With Ken. It would make sense if Ken was there. Or Luke. Or Ryu. Like, our characters were not there. They were not being represented. They were not even being represented at the Swavawa Hall tournament at the very end. No. Instead, we lost. We literally went through Metro City, around the world. Right? We went through the whole story mode. Trying to get to Bosch. It was pretty much like a scavenger hunt, really. And he just, like I said, spoiler alert, he just dies. He just dies. And for JP to say that nothing meant anything at all is kind of like, it's like, bro, we went through this whole grind and then that happens, which it just bugged me. And it also bugged me that none of the characters were there because Ken was on the run, so the guy that we just fought literally is the whole reason why he's on the run in the first place. You know what I mean? Like, look, I'm not trying to bash on Capcom, but I just want a really good story. Like, look. Street Fighter V, I mean, look, for what it's worth, it's not the best story mode, at all, no. But the characters at least interacted, right? The characters were at least talking and communicating. They were working together. It was nice. You know what I mean? Like, it was cool. I didn't mind Chun-Li talking to Ken and Ryu. I didn't mind Bison, and Ryu having their ultimate battle to fight to the death. I just didn't mind any of that. I didn't mind any of what happened in Street Fighter V, even though it was questionable. But for what it's worth, it was at least the characters were talking. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm trying to say. I want something like that in the game, which also will give us content for us to do because the lack of it's not really it's not as bad, but like a skin, like I said, it goes back to the skins. A skin for our characters goes a long way. And for an additional world tour, like, expansion would, be it would literally be the icing of the cake. It'll literally be the cherry on top for that. For me at least, and probably like amongst other people that would probably, enjoy some lore. You know what I mean? So all this that I mentioned would be really great, with perfect parries, drive rush, um, the content, that battle pass, honestly, I don't think they should really lock some certain things in a $5 battle pass, even though $5 is not really much, but still, like you know what I mean? Like, let me go back to that real quick. Like the whole battle pass, has some music, like some characters' themes. I feel like they should make a jukebox instead, kind of like how Tekken does it. It would be really nice if we had like a jukebox, or then again, the jukebox that was in Street Fighter 5. You know what I mean? That would be really nice. I'd be really nice to have that. The character cosmetics, I mean, I can say in the battle pass, but and the calling cards, but I mean, look, I feel like overall of what I'm talking about here, Capcom really does need to fix a lot of things. I mean, look, I'm being honest here. I'm not saying the game is like, I mean, back earlier I said it was like, a really spot on game. It was a really fucking spot on game. But now that obviously the honeymoon phase has been over, it's been over for like 2 months now. I think that at this point, the game has its issues. Obviously it does. I'm looking at you, Drive Rush and Perfect Parry, and the uh, the Battle Pass avatar skins. I just think, what would really help a lot is give us more things. Like the outfits, obviously they did that, but well, it's expensive. So, with that being said, I mean, that's another factor to consider. I mean, honestly, I think a story mode expansion would be really good. A story mode expansion would be really damn good for me, to be honest. I would not mind that at all. So, if they were to do that, I feel like a lot of people would be happy, seeing the characters go at it again, just like in Street Fighter 5. So, and plus, you gotta think about it too. The arcade endings weren't the best. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, but look, this is not a bash on Capcom video. This is trying to help Capcom. For better monetization, because the monetization is not really ideal. The mechanics like Drive Rush and Perfect Parry have been they've been pretty powerful on my case, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one, obviously, but and then the content, like I said, that story mode expansion would be really good. Be really good. It doesn't have to be super long. It doesn't have to be like what we just did in World Tour long. It can be like, I don't know, like a couple hours. Like I'm not saying like do a 10-hour cinematic story mode or something that's gonna take. I mean, 10 hours is 10 hours, but oh, oops, I forgot about this. Okay, but definitely make it a bit longer than Street Fighter 5's, because if we were to go back to Street Fighter 5, without fights, it's 2.5 hours long. I am not joking with you guys. It is 2.5 hours long. If you just skip the fights, like let's just say you want to show your friend the story mode or something. Like let's say they want to recap. Story mode is just 2.5 hours long. Like you can just skip the not the cutscenes, the fights. There you go. You can just skip the fights. It's 2.5 hours long. If you just don't skip the fights, I think it's like an extra hour or so, or hour and a half. I'm not too sure about that one, but for sure, I can guarantee you without fights, it's 2.5 hours long. Now, when it comes to that, Capcom, I doubt they'll see this or anything, but look, to close the video off, Capcom, make that story mode a lot longer, and just give us content that, I mean, look, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that love the outfits. They're really well done. I gotta admit, they are really well done. And that's probably why they're very expensive. And I know damn well Capcom was not gonna have those things for free. But my point is to close off the video because I don't want this video to be 1,000. Oh, it's already like we've been here for quite a while. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll make this. I'll just close off the video right here. To close off everything, we just want a lot of good content. We don't want things to be overly expensive. So Capcom, please give us a 300 fighter coin deal for $5. That would be okay. Even though it's still bad, you know, it's still not that great. But still, and then give us content that's not just avatar skins and overly priced outfits. So, and better, and to make sure that Drive Rush and Perfect Parries aren't too overpowered, or yeah, that's gonna be a lot, to be honest. It'll be a lot for them to work on. But this is just me saying, hey, I just want the game to be in a better. It's not like in a horrible state or anything. It's just I want it to be like it's good right now, but it can be a lot better, to be honest. It's not, I'm not saying this game's horrible. It has a lot of content. I mean, look, you can even play old Capcom games in the Battle Hub. Like, come on. The Battle Hub is really social. I will make a lot of friends. But I'm just talking like gameplay, post content, monetization, and especially, for me at least, that World Tour Story Mode expansion. What do you guys want to see in Street Fighter 6? Leave a comment down below. And if you guys enjoy these types of videos, I'll definitely like to make more. If you guys want to suggest certain topics that's not just Street Fighter and other fighting games or something, please leave a comment down below what you guys would like to hear. Anyways, I've been your host, Blanco, and I'll see you in the next video.